Hello YouTube! Today I'm going to show you how to change a fuse panel on the Sprinter, amongst other things. I'll be doing a lot today. So I'll be changing a fuse panel on this black Sprinter van. The problem is whenever you run over like a bump in the road, it could be a speed bump, it could be just an uneven road, might even be just a slightly uneven pavement, and if you run over it and you move your steering wheel, it just shuts your van off. So possibility that that's the problem. So I'm gonna try to see if I could resolve it. And the reason I could pinpoint to this problem, because last time I replaced this fuse panel, I put it in from one of my vans that's for parts, and immediately that's the problem that started happening. So I believe the cause of the problem is somewhere there's a loose connection, maybe a bad ground in the actual fuse panel. But I'm just gonna go ahead and put a new fuse panel on there and see if that's gonna resolve the problem. Another thing is, if some of you that's having the same issue, what you might actually notice is if you run over a fuse, like some kind of bump in the road, you will see a bunch of lights come on your dash. It's gonna act as if if you just started the van up. You're gonna hear some beeping from your seatbelt, and you're gonna have ABS come on, ESP, and some other things that are gonna come on. Maybe even your check engine light. And then it might go off. And another thing is, if you actually take your steering wheel while your van is running, if you're not even driving it, you could just pull on it, just kind of like, not even so hard. You'll just pull on it and the same thing's gonna happen. It's actually gonna simulate kind of like you run over something. Also might be something loose, some kind of loose wire, maybe the actual fuse panel that's under your steering wheel, and that's what I'm going to be removing today. And whenever you pull the steering wheel, not only that the lights will come on if you're standing still, or if you're maybe moving approximately 10 miles an hour or something, it's going to shut your van off, and it could be a problem, could be dangerous, especially if you're trying to make some kind of churn. And if cars are coming and you're going to be churning and you hit that little bump, it's going to cut your van off. So that's not safe at all. So we're going to see what's going to happen. Once I'm going to return, I'm going to put the old one back in and see if that's going to fix the problem. Or if I'm going to catch something else. Maybe I did something wrong, possibility. Because I also changed the ignition switch. So I'm going to see if the ignition switch, maybe it's loose. But anyways, you're gonna be able to find out what's gonna happen, because I'm gonna get it on video. I'm gonna try to anyways. Okay, here's the fuse panel, and I'm gonna remove it. Alright, here we go. This is the fuse panel. As you can see, there is a couple Phillips head screws over there. You're gonna need to take those off. Probably a number 10 for the fuse panel, and another one is over here. There it is. So I'll have to pull those off right now. Right, all the bolts are out, just 3 of them. We had a number 10 over here, couple Phillips heads, and that's getting ready to come off. There it is. It was not that hard to pull it out. Right, now to remove the fuse panel, I will have to pull that bolt off, and then you'll need to lift this little tab up right here. It exposes another bolt, so you'll need to remove that as well. Alright, there's a number 10 here, and there were 2 number 10s that I had to remove down here. I've removed that one, and I don't know if you could see it, right there was another number 10 that I removed. But you may experience a problem. When I was pulling this out, maybe this was replaced in the past, but you could see as I churn this, it kind of churns the whole thing. So when this happens, once you remove those 2 bottom nuts or whatever, you could just kind of, get it loose enough and you could just yank it out. It's just kind of bad design that there's a plastic piece and they design it some kind of like little fitting. It just goes inside of the plastic. It's kind of inconvenient, because whenever you try to remove a bolt, it's been on there for a while, then you might actually strip the plastic. In that case, I would just recommend you maybe use some JB weld and glue that little metal fitting back in there. I'm not sure what I used last time, maybe JB Weld, but obviously it's stripped again. So I'll just have to pull that out right now. And let me see if I could, I'll actually have to put 2 hands on it. I don't want to have to damage anything. Alright, I slightly had to just pull on it just a little bit and it came right out. So you could see there's connections at the bottom of the steering wheel here, and here is the place where it went in there. So I don't think this was, no, this is not JB Weld. I've used actually one of those 2 compound type of things. You have to, it's kind of like Play-Doh, but it's automotive stuff. It's supposed to work, but apparently not in this case, I guess. Yep, there it is. So I'll remove that little fitting, I'll clean it up, and well, actually I believe this stuff actually stays on there, if I'm not mistaken. And whatever the other one I removed, I could just put it right back in there. One more thing, since I'm already down here, I'm gonna be replacing that little hazard light right there. It actually broke off. Maybe it's just age or whatever, but the plastic on there broke off, and whenever you actually press on a little light, it gets stuck sometimes, and sometimes you cannot get it unstuck. So I will replace it. I have another one right here. So I'll show you guys how to replace your turn signals along with all these other things on here. That should be fun. So I had a friend of mine, he sent me this free of charge. Apparently he had a buddy that had a Sprinter for parts, and I didn't at that moment. So there we go. Let me get this opened. Alright, it's out of the box. Apparently it seems pretty easy to replace it. And the cool thing about it is it does not have a broken piece over here. So that's gonna help a lot. That's beautiful. So let's see here. Yep, that works really nice. I'll clean it up a little bit before I install it, but wow, this seems just piece of cake to replace. Of course, I never removed the steering wheel, so I'll be doing it for the first time. I'm a self-taught mechanic. I have a brother, he's 4 years younger than me, and he's really good at mechanics. So I've been actually doing it for a while myself, but he's actually got a shop. He works on nothing but all the special German and Italian cars, and he's been also doing like Aston Martins. I believe he had a Ferrari in there, even Dodge Viper, and he said that's as American as he goes. But he actually works in some nice cars, including Bentleys, and we're brothers, so I might have some of his abilities, except he really studies a lot of it. But I'm just focused on the Sprinter, and that's pretty much all I've been doing, Sprinters. And he does not do Sprinters. He just does not have the time. So I'm pretty sure he actually knows how to do this, but this is a diesel vehicle. It's a totally different beast. It takes time to actually get used to work on these things. And I have a lot of experience in working on the engine. Later on I'll show you what the mileage on this thing is. This van in particular, it's my favorite van. I have better vans over here. I have 4 of them. Some of them have way less mileage, but this van in particularly I like. It got me started, so I guess it's like sentimental value. It's actually probably the worst van that I had. I would have had if I didn't do all the things that I've done to it. But this van has 1,048,000 miles on it right now. When I got it, it was like crazy miles. It was like 650,000, and it had a lot of problems. Maybe in some other videos I could touch base on those problems and the solutions that I found, but this video is about me replacing this little guy right here, and I'll get back to you. To remove this plastic piece here so we could replace the turn signals, you'll have to remove a couple bolts. One there, one there. They're actually screws. It takes a Phillips head. Preferably if you have something like this, it's going to work just fine. And they are out. You'll just need to pull this up here, like so. There we go. This little piece. Alright. I'm starting to remove this steering wheel here, and to remove it you're gonna need one of these here, or at least some kind of Torx head or an Allen wrench with one of these on there. But this is original piece that comes in your kit. Any Mercedes Sprinter, Dodge Sprinter, Freightliner Sprinter should have already this piece, you know, that comes in there. It has two different heads. This is the bigger tip of the head. So you just pull it out and replace the tips, and that's actually what it takes to pull those little screws out. Alright, once you get those two screws loose, you will be able to lift this up right here, and it's gonna have a wire. Now, I didn't tell you this in the beginning. It seems kind of like obvious, but you'll need to disconnect the battery for this job. So if you haven't done it already, disconnect it and you could remove it without causing any damage. I may end up replacing the steering wheel. For some reason my horn was always kind of difficult to push. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I'm gonna actually do some research and find out if it's working, not working. I could just go ahead and pull it off of my parts sprinter van. So I'll let you guys know how that goes. So this is my parts sprinter. I'll be pulling the steering wheel off because this obviously works pretty nice here. Mine wasn't, and that's what I'm gonna install there. It actually looks slightly better than mine, but I'll be painting this anyways. Alright, and it's out. And this little thing, it's really easy to disconnect, but I'm gonna try to do the side-by-side test and find out if there's any difference in them, really, as far as pushing the signal, the horn down. Alright, here we go. This is the test. Pushing it down, it's kind of weird. There's really no difference as far as I could tell. So maybe it was just a bad turn signal, but I'm gonna replace it anyways. See how that goes. Okay, getting back to the horn. I was kind of new to the idea, but obviously this is where it makes the difference. There's the little horn contacts there, and some more right there. And this seems like it's pushing down just fine, but if it's getting stuck on my steering wheel, maybe something was wrong. I'm not sure what it was, but anyways, I'm gonna try to solve it if I can. Maybe just a bad horn. Maybe that's why I'm not really getting anything, or maybe some bad contacts here, but I'll check on that. To remove the steering wheel, obviously you're gonna need to use a Allen wrench. This is a 10mm Allen wrench here, and the best position is to have it just like I have it right there. I just removed this bolt. Well, it's actually not removed, but it's loosened. But for me to get it loose, I needed to use one of these little tools here. It's kind of like a little hammer. So it helped me a lot. I recommend you just do it in the center. I've tried doing it on the sides. It's pretty easy to damage this little bolt here. But anyways, now it easily removes. So I just gotta put the Allen wrench on there. Right here. Well, it's still, you still gotta put your arm into it, but anyways, it's gonna come off in a second. Alright, now this bolt is moving pretty easy. I can definitely remove it. I'm actually going to replace the bolt. I have another one from my parts printer. I actually already did this on another one, but obviously I had some Loctite on there causing this bolt not to be loose. It's blue Loctite, but it really held it in there tight. Alright, so what you want to do next is you might actually, you know, just, you could do couple little things here, but you could just feed these wires right through the hole here. I actually recommend you put in a bolt just lightly on there, and that's going to help you not rip the wires, because these wires, they're not going to be easy to remove. They're probably removable, but and anyway, so next piece we got to remove this here. It's kind of strange, it doesn't churn, but actually I believe these holes, they need to be aligned with those screws right there. But that's no problem. I could just go ahead and remove those screws anyways. Okay, a smaller screwdriver like this would work just fine. So you just need to remove that one and that one right there, and it's gonna come off. All right, the bolts, they did not come out all the way because this little gray piece all the way, and you could just pull on it a little bit and you could just pull it out. But you could kind of see what I'm talking about. You could twist them back and then they're gonna be much easier to remove, even though it was not that hard. Except I don't recommend you twisting this little gray piece back to the position, because when it's actually still locked in place here, just remove it first, then twist it. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna remove it, set it to the side. Okay, should be okay right there. All right, next we just have one more piece to remove. So the two bolts, they're going to be at the bottom. There's one right there, and another one is right there. You need to remove both of these, and then it's going to come out. And this little piece, it has a wire attached to it. You could just actually remove it like so. You don't have to actually disconnect it. So there we go. So I'll remove those two bolts and we could go ahead and disassemble this. Alright, I was told some of these vans, they have like a pin or something that might be holding this in place, so you might actually need to remove something before you actually remove this. But this one obviously doesn't. You could just remove that like this, and then there's cruise control to disconnect here, and you could go ahead and install that on your next piece, and it's just being held by that, let's see here if I could see this, just that one little bolt there. This is a pretty long screw here, but it's already disattached. So just I guess you just push it out of place. I'm gonna actually put the camera down and find out for sure what's the correct way of doing it. Alright, just tinkering with it a little bit, you just basically slide it out. It's as simple as that. You slide it out, slide it on your next piece if you have cruise control. If you don't, you could just not really worry about this little portion, because you just want to remove this here. And it's pretty simple. If you know what you're doing, if you're not wasting any time, you could do this easily in 10 minutes. Even if you're not a mechanic, you should be able to do this. Alright, since I'm already down here, I will go ahead and remove the electronic ignition switch. What I did is I took a regular Phillips head and I basically broke that off at the end there. I bended it, and it sort of created me like a little tool, so I could press it down over there like a little button. And then next one to press is right over here. I already actually pressed it because it would be kind of difficult for me to do it, and then you could just remove it like this. That's what an electronic ignition switch looks like. So I just wanted to show you guys how you could remove it, and you could just snap it right back. It's back in place. It's good to go. I do believe there's a right and a wrong way of putting it in, but you might not be able to put it in the wrong way. So you might just need to pay attention closely when you remove it, which position you removed it, and install the new one the same way. And I cannot really tell you exactly how it is because, well, I just reinstalled it, so you just need to pay attention, I guess. Now we're going to be installing this back, this turn signal piece with the windshield wipers, and to put it back you just need to do a reverse step of removing it. So we're going to put it in like so, and then go ahead and find the bolts, tighten it in place. Alright, as a reminder, those two screws that you see need to be in for this piece to be attached. And they're in, and everything's nice and tight. When you're installing them, you just need to make sure that your holes are nicely aligned. When you put one in, just don't do it all the way, just don't tighten it all the way. So you can put the other one back on. It really makes your job a lot easier. So now we'll want this piece to go on there. That might be reversed. Alright, it's on. So what I was trying to aim at, and it's kind of hard when I'm holding the camera, is make sure this little plastic groove, and it kind of spins on there, it's fine. It goes right inside of that right there. Inside of the metal shaft. Then you'll have no problem. Just put it like this and you'll be fine. Alright, these two pieces are on there. This small one here and this gray one here. Now I do want to explain, removing it, it's not the same as putting it back. It is kind of difficult for some of you. Maybe some of you it's going to be pretty easy. But what you're going to need to do is, remember, whenever you put the black piece back in, you got to aim it for the, you know, for the correct holes there. You're going to be good there. Then once you're going to be putting this gray piece, unfortunately, you cannot really get these holes lined up nicely with the screws, or you can't really put it in there because this gray piece in itself moves, and that black piece, you know, it's, of course, it's part of this gray piece here, and it moves and stuff. But you'll just need to basically make sure that there's like those little three plastic pieces that you could, like, you know, rewind back at the video, and you could see they also need to be aligned with this gray piece here. So since for me to remove the steering wheel, I kind of needed to twist the steering wheel pretty much almost around. This is the way my piece needed to attach here, and you know, hopefully that's gonna work just fine. Okay guys, this is a little update to the video in the video, so this is why it's important to watch to the end. I've removed the steering wheel again. I just want to make sure everything is right, because whenever I was removing the steering wheel, it was so tight that I twisted it to the left as far as it would go, and then I figured it's gonna, you know, I want to make sure everything's gonna align perfectly. Then I started messing with this little thing, and I'm just gonna remove it a little bit. You could kind of see which position I have it. They only go in like one way, obviously, but here's what I want to show you. There is a right and a wrong way of installing this. I obviously installed it like this last time. It seems like it's logical. The only difference I see is these are a little bit taller, these are a little bit shorter here on this end, but whenever I install it this way, I could not actually align it all the way. And I'm actually going to pause this video, attach it, and I'm going to show you what I mean. Alright, I installed it the wrong way, and what was my concern is this plastic was just too far apart, and it's not like you could force it in there, you know, because you could break something. It just was not going. Everything's perfect, but just not quite right. So I want to make sure that I do it the correct way, and you guys do it the correct way, because taking apart stuff, it's a lot easier than putting it back together, and putting it back together, it's right. So I remembered last time when I pulled this piece out, this black piece here, it didn't have the sticker on it, but whenever I put it back on, I actually had the sticker visible. And also keep in mind, this little connector, once I'm going to reinstall it, it's actually going to be a little bit higher, which is going to be a little bit more appropriate, because I don't believe my tires are centered right now perfectly, but it's going to be close. So I'm gonna pause the video, put everything back the other way, and you could see the difference. Plus, it kind of shakes. I don't think it's supposed to do that. All right, before I install it, I'm gonna tinker with it some more. There's these little tabs inside. You could kind of see those gray ones. Right now, everything's kind of sitting flush, and it feels pretty good the way it's sitting. But what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna twist it over again and see if maybe those tabs need to be inside of those little black spaces. Well, I twisted a piece over, and this is kind of like the upside version with the sticker being up. As you could kind of see, it does not even want to sink all the way down. So there is a right and a wrong way of doing things, and having the sticker up, I believe it would be the wrong way. So you could kind of see those tabs, everything sort of like came in contact like it should, but just not right. Now here we go, and you could kind of see the difference. Once I actually reinstall this piece here, the holes, they're lining up here with these holes and with those holes, and I know for a fact they were not lining up before. When I removed this piece, they were not perfect like that. So maybe they actually installed it the wrong way from the factory. And of course Dodge put these things together, so they probably did it wrong. At first I thought there was a little flaw in the design, because I believe I've seen the sticker up. I could be mistaken. Obviously it's in the video, and you guys already know the way it's supposed to look in the beginning, but everything feels right here. Everything's kind of flush. This little thing that's sticking up, it's perfectly in there. So now I'm gonna put it right back. Alright, so I actually put it back on here, but still it's quite impossible to align the holes with the screws. So this is probably exactly the way it was. Maybe they were not wrong, because you need to leave room for this piece. So in order for it to fit, you actually need to kind of like move these things a little bit back, because the way everything is made over here, everything kind of like these little grooves, they get in there the right way. And there you go. You could kind of see from this video that this plastic piece, it's really close where it needs to be. It's on there really good, even though I haven't even attached nothing. So now it's time for me to actually put everything back. Now with the screws are in the place, everything feels really good. Like, I mean, those screws on there, like, they're perfect. They fit like nicely like in those little holes, and I feel really good about it, because last time when I put it back together, you know, the screws, you know, before I even like attached these plastic pieces, they were not really meeting this plastic piece, which I believe it should. Like you could see, it does. And that was kind of like a concern to me. I thought maybe I put it together wrong, even though I put the steering wheel back and everything worked. So it probably would work like that, but I just like to do things the right way, and it's my first time, so I'm kind of learning as I'm going along. So I haven't actually watched any videos on this subject. I talked to a buddy of mine on the phone, and he tried to explain a little bit, but he done it 2 years ago, so it's kind of like hands-on experience. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the rest of it back together. This fuse panel, I'm gonna go ahead and replace it, making a little video. So if you do disconnect yours, you're gonna know everything where it goes. That little connector is obviously for the ignition switch. So I will be actually removing this and installing a different one, the original one that came with it, because I'm not sure if this thing is any good, or because maybe this bolt was not tight enough. Maybe somehow it was, when it shakes, it was the contacts were like not attached really well. But anyways, once I put it back together, I will know for sure if that was the problem or not. Right, the steering wheel is on. I have painted everything, including these pieces that's gonna go at the bottom. And here's the fuse panel. I did install it, and now I'm gonna put the rest of the pieces back together and give it a test drive. There you go, everything is put together. I decided to paint it this black. Eventually I would get everything painted black.